But every county now has to have a place in their special needs shelter for Alzheimer's residents. You need to bring a caregiver with you. We don't want people just using it as respite care and dropping off people, and it's been done before in different counties. So we're trying to stress to people, if you need to come, you come. It's in effect as of July 1st this year, but the registry is not into effect until next year. But it will go into effect with the state. It has to be out and available by March 1st. The state is going to run the database for special needs. Every county, well, our county anyway, and Lee County, we're all going to maintain our databases still. But the state is requiring that people register with them through the state. They have not organized it yet. It's still being processed and done. They don't even have a vendor yet. But you're going to have to register. The state wants to keep track of all the different special needs people so they can see where the help is needed. But you have to, that was part of the, there was a two-part to the bill. The first part of the bill was Senator Richter and Representative Hudson are doing research. And they're trying to find, they get money for research to find a cure for Alzheimer's. That was the first part of the bill, so they're bringing that to Florida. The second part was a special needs shelter, which included the Alzheimer's patients. So my question was, okay, we have everybody registered. Right now I have 52 people with various forms of dementia in this county, out of 11,000 that Catherine said we have. It's voluntary. I know what my dad went through. He had to move all the locks to the top. He had to put the covers on the gas stove. My mom would push the gas stove in and click it and leave it. So they're like, okay, you smell gas. Then she would have a time where she could eat in the morning, her Cheerios and toast. And then by lunchtime, forget it. She couldn't even feed herself. Then she switched and she was a nighttime person. So then I asked, that was my question, okay, so you have an Alzheimer's person with various levels. They're walking at 3 o'clock in the morning. The caregiver has been up for 24 hours. Who's going to walk? Who's going to watch them? The caregiver's got to get some sleep. So we do have sheriff's office at the facilities. We're going to have a meeting with Angela and Jackie. So that's another discussion. Okay, security. The school doors don't have alarms on them. Well, they do, but who's going to check on them? Food. Okay, my mother could eat, like I said, Cheerios and toast in the morning. By afternoon, she was down to maybe a finger food. By the dinner time, she was down to pureed food because she couldn't swallow. She progressed during the day. And the next morning, it was just a different cycle. So the food we use right now is the school food. If it's during the summer, you might get a cheese sandwich. You might get a cookie bar for breakfast. We have juice, we have water. Dinner might not be another cheese sandwich. During the school, we use the school food. So one day it could be a hot dog. Well, that's choking. Next day could be chili, could be pizza, could be peanut butter sandwich. Can everybody eat that kind of stuff? We don't have food prepared for an Alzheimer's resident. Are we going to have to get out and get different things to puree things? Don't know. Toiletries. We have men and women's, what do you call it? Those, but the bedpans. And we have wheelchairs. We have some beds that sit up, but not all of our beds sit up. We do have some. Whenever we get extra grant money or extra funds, we try to buy more beds, but we also have blankets, but they're super, super, super thin. So if you get cold at night, you're going to freeze. So you need to make sure you bring a sleeping bag, warm socks, something. Little airplane pillows. Bring a pillow, bring a blanket. You're going to be warm. Okay, so now we have we have cots. It's cold, it's air conditioning. We do have oxygen. If someone uses oxygen, you need to have oxygen from home to a shelter, shelter to home. They will connect you to the oxygen at the school. If you use liquid oxygen, they do not refill liquid oxygen. So you need to make sure you have enough to get you back home, and you'll be connected to the oxygen at the school. She has the really big tanks to use, and she connects everybody. Oxygen patients are separated. Pediatric patients are separated. They have certain sections of the school. If we need the whole school, we can take the whole school. But right now, we have sections in the band room, and we use sections in the auditorium because it's a space. So now we're looking for an Alzheimer's space. Everybody at the health department wears a vest. Oxygen patients wear blue. My suggestion was Alzheimer's wear purple. Any bucket I have, I said we're buying purple. I said purple is Alzheimer's color. I have a folder and a binder, it's purple. I said this way, everybody knows, you can't forget, it's purple. So we're using purple. So okay, so we're getting purple vests. My mother never wore jewelry. Watch, ring, that's it. My dad had tried to put a bracelet on her. She'd tear it off. She never liked things. When she got shirts or sweaters, we always had to cut the elastic out, even when I was growing up. Never liked tight. Who wants to have something tight? Then you have to have something around their neck. Choking hazard. We have to have some type of identification to know who the patient is or the person is. So you may be wearing the tag as opposed to your loved one, or maybe a little sticker. Okay, so you're sitting in the shelter. My question is, what are you going to do? Okay, so my question to you is, what do we need to have at the shelter to help you if you have to go? Do we need to look into board games, movies, videos, special silverware, depends, bibs? What do we need to help you if you have to go to a shelter? So that's my question now with the Alzheimer's bill, and we have to prepare. We had little things, but we didn't have structured. We had 225 people at the shelter for Wilma. That's the most we've ever had in a special needs shelter. We can hold up to 800 for the whole school. And if we have to, we can always make it more. And we have a backup shelter, which is Golden Gate High School, but we only open that if the other one is full. Because the health department does not have staffing to run 2 shelters. No county has enough staffing to run 2 special needs shelters. Lee County, you're put on a waiting list right now if they don't have enough room for you. So that's why if you can take your loved one and leave town safely, go. The only problem is people who left for Charlie, the storm followed them to Orlando. And it just kept following them and following them. So the people, you have to kind of watch the weather. They're going to show you on television the worst case scenario, and it's going to show you storm surge and where you live. If you don't know storm surge in the computer, and you can look it up in the county computer, you can see what your house category is, or you can call me and I can look it up for you, what your storm surge is and what your flooding zone is. So that way we have an idea of where you are. Even though you might have 15 feet up, you're still in the flood zone. Like I said, if you call 911 until the winds die down, they're not going to come. They can't come. And I've had numerous people on some of these towers. One lady a couple years ago asked me, she said, well, my husband has a cardiac problem. And she said, I don't walk well, but we're just going to call 911. I said, what floor do you live on? She said, the 12th. And I said, ma'am, you need to really think about it. Number one, management does not want you on the 12th floor during a storm. Number two, during Wilma, the North Naples condo that had all the windows blown out on the water.
Stratford.
Yes. Lots of windows blown out. Looked like, I don't know, Poseidon or something.
One of your friends lived there.
There was just massive windows blown out. Pine Ridge had some damaged windows. I said, you need to go down to at least the 3rd floor or whatever management tells you. But if management tells you to get out, just like the independent living facilities within the other compounds like the Carlisle or Glenview, they don't want you staying there either. They want you away from the water, away from harm's way, because they're a butt up against the water. And family calls them and says, where's my mother? I don't know. If she's at a shelter or you're at a shelter, we have a checklist with the health department and the Red Cross, and we can tell your loved ones, yes, she's at the shelter, because we cross-check everybody. But if you do go someplace, please let your family know where you're going, because we get phone calls from all over the country. I have one dad who used to call from Hawaii checking on his mom. And he sends the form in every year. She's since passed away, but he used to send every year. For 7 years, he would send forms. So if you do go someplace, please let your family know where you're going. Any questions so far? Okay, so basically, Marianne.
I want to jump to what we need.
Yes, that's what I'm going to ask. So what do we need from, I mean, my mom was in Connecticut, and I went up there a couple times a year, but my dad and my brothers and sisters were there more than I was. So and I knew I would go up there and give them a break. I would go up to my mom, do laundry. Okay, you know, how much laundry are you going to need? There's no place to do clothes. How many changes of clothes do you have to bring? What do we need to have at the shelter to help you? Suggestions.
I just can't wait to say this. Can I say it? So well.
I got my pen.
Okay. Rand Bass at the library has...
He's not my special needs shelter. He's one of my phone people.
He is awesome with his packages of books, videos on specific subjects.
Okay.
He also has pages of movies that have words, you know, that is telling the story. So those kind of musicals or things that our people would enjoy that wouldn't be too scary. But Rand would be great. The other thing I was thinking about was with the daycares, especially with care clubs, our only one at this point, I guess, in our county, that they would have activities that they could loan.
I was going to call her and ask her, because now the Ardent Manor's temporarily closed or closed, and then We have a couple of family care homes that are out in the east part of estates, but we don't review their plans, but they do have some patients in there.
Yeah.
So all we have is Care Club,
Yeah,
you know.
that's right.
So,
But that would be great resources for the folks.
okay,
And so that means a big screen and a projector.
okay. And electricity. We have a generator. It's probably about half the size of this room. That's why it's so cold in there. It's humongous. We're the fourth one in the state to get the generator. So then we will have power. We do have backup just in case, God forbid, something happens. But it does, like I said, the one thing the nurses stress is it's cold in there at night.
You know, one of the other things is some of the families have those little small DVD players. And I'm just thinking for those people who are agitated, that can't, don't want to be in the group, maybe some of those small ones with some quiet music or some watching fish or watching snow or, those ones that are special for calming. Arden Court has what they call a Namaste program that they use for calming. And so I think working with Melody to see what they're doing could help too. And of course, Aval with all of their aromatherapy, et cetera.
I want to say this just underscores how lucky we are to have Patti. Not only is she asking us what they should be at the shelter, but she's writing down our suggestions.
She
Thank
gets
you.
it.
Thank you. How about the group here? Suggestions.